Where in the Herd is Tiffany, where we talk about travel, lifestyle, and mental health. Follow us on Instagram at Sweet Tiffies, Twitter at Sweet Tiffies, Facebook Sweet Tiffies Inspirations, and Tiffany-Travels.com. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Hello, my name is Tiffany Her. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to be talking about a very controversial topic. But the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I feel like it's something that we're doing. It needs to be discussed. And I definitely want to help out new social workers that are new to doing this type of work. Okay, well, if you haven't guessed what it is, we are going to talk about striking for social workers, okay, or being a part of a social worker strike, okay. And the reason why I say this is controversial because there is a clear divide about if people or if social workers in particular should be doing strike social work or should they not, okay? So let me tell you what exactly it is. So basically when a strike occurs at an organization, and I'm going to use Kaiser for example because that's the only example that I know or pertains to my experience. So what will happen is Kaiser will say they are going on strike. And I'm not going to say Kaiser will say, the workers at Kaiser or any organization will say, hey, we are going on strike, okay? And the reason why they are normally going on strike is because they're really normally advocating for like better pay, or they just feel like the work environment is no longer good for them. But there are several reasons why they could be asking or calling for a strike, but those are probably one of the two main reasons of why they're doing it. And so what happens is because they are going on strike, companies will then seek out social workers, nurses, CNAs, phlebotomists, like anything you could think of that pertains to the hospital. They will send out a memo trying to recruit people to be a part of this social work strike. So then this is where the divide comes in. So a lot of people say you are what you would consider a SCAB, okay? And a SCAB is if you cross the picket lines, okay? So some people feel like, well, they're striking for a reason. This is a union. You shouldn't cross the picket lines because then that means that the demands are not going to be met. So I would be considered a SCAB because I have crossed the lines, okay? And then on the other hand, there are people like me that don't feel like they're a SCAB. And so basically, let me read you the definition of why they give it the SCAB name, just a little history. So a scab, as we know, is like a physical lesion, like on our face or somewhere on any part of our body. So the definition says, when we cross the picket line as a scab, it says it disfigures the social body of labor and the solidarity of workers. So that's like the official name of why they got the scab, okay? But anyway, there's people like me that are willing to cross the picket lines, right? And I can't say why people won't cross the picket lines, but I'm going to tell you why I will cross the lines. I will cross the lines for two specific reasons. And one of the reasons I will cross is because of money. Now, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of dislike, a lot of hate, a lot of whatever. I don't really care. I don't really care about the opinions of others. I only care about how I roll and how my house rides and how I need money to pay bills at the end of the day. Okay. And we'll go more into the pay and why I will cross the line for pay. Anyway, so that's one of the reasons why I will cross the line. The other reason why I will cross the line is because there needs to be a continuum of care. Okay. So if there's social workers not there, there's nurses not there, life still goes on. When I say life goes on, meaning people still are getting sick. People still need to be discharged. There's still services that need to be had. And if you are willing to pay me almost 3 times the amount that you're willing to pay me for a regular 9-to-5 job, so that I can continue the care of patients, then just so be it, okay? So I don't mean to be crass, or I don't mean to be like whatever about it, but this is just really how I feel about the particular situation, or how others feel about the situation that are actually crossing the picket lines, okay? So let me go into a little bit about how the strike happens, or what's the process, or different things like that, okay? So basically, when they put this notice out for the strike, there'll be companies such as Rapid Staff, HealthSource Global, and many other companies that are recruiting. So when they recruit you, there will be a recruiter reaching out to you. They will send you over all your paperwork. And mind you, when we talk about the strike, there's a lot of fast moving parts, okay? So you have to really like just be prepared to leave at any moment's notice. So they can get a strike tomorrow, and like a week later, you may have to move and you may have to be ready to go. So if you have kids, or if you got something to do, like you really gonna have to figure out like in a snap, because you're literally need to get on this plane, okay? So they will start to get all your paperwork. So your paperwork, they're gonna want like your immunization records, your application, a resume, like maybe there's a BSL involved. So they're going to want all your documents just to kind of get you started. And so once you get started, when they actually call for the strike, then you'll just be ready to hit the ground running, okay? So let's say, for example, you get all your paperwork in and they're like, hey, we're leaving in a week, okay? So this, I'm going to tell you what one of my experiences was when I actually completed the strike, okay? So this particular strike was in California. And so basically we got all our paperwork in. I live in LA, so I did not need transportation. I could drive to the location. But let's say you were from out of town, they would give you your flight information and you would go to your destination. So let's say you arrive to California, you are going the first night, you're just getting settled in. Sometimes they will do stuff that particular night, but it just depends on the situation. So I've had it both cases. But we're going to talk about the situation where the strike actually went through for a week. So we're going to focus on that. So basically, get to the hotel, relax a little bit. The next day is going to be crazy. The next day, they are having orientation all day. They may serve breakfast or light breakfast. And orientation can consist of several different things. They'll be onboarding, meaning they'll be giving you your badge. Okay, there's a station for that. There's going to be a station to make sure all your paperwork is in. There's going to be a station if you need to do drug testing, because sometimes I have drug testing on site. There's a station for that. And so basically you're going into like, okay, you go to this section, then go to your next section, then go to your next section. They'll have a computer training section. That's what happened last time. So this all happened within one day. So be expected for your first day to be busy, up and running, just getting acclimated to everything. Okay. Usually that Sunday, if there needs to be something else that you did not do for that Saturday, that will happen then. Okay. At that point, they will disperse you to your particular hotel. Okay, so since Kaiser is all across California, people were getting sent all over, from LA to Hollywood to San Diego to Lancaster, just all different type of places, right? So I ended up being very close to my home. I ended up being in the Hollywood station. So we were at a particular hotel. I think it was the W Hotel or something like that. So they'll try to put you to where you're going to be at. So the wake up call, I think, was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I think we had to be on the bus by 6:30 in the morning. So when we arrived, I know some people may be afraid, like, is people standing outside? Like, well, how does that work? So basically they took us through the back. So we never saw any of the protesting. Nobody ever tried to harm us. Nobody ever tried to stop us. Like, we were never in any danger at all. Now, somebody may have a different experience, but my experience was we went through the back door. There was no issues. Okay. So when we arrived that first day, I really liked the supervisory staff, because I believe supervisory staff cannot strike, so they're still working. So they were very helpful with everything. They helped us acclimated to the particular system that they use for Kaiser. And basically we hit the ground running. Like, we had cases assigned that same day that we got there. And so our role was we were more like the discharge planners. We worked in ER. So basically we would go see the clients, see what their needs were, and try to provide resources if that were the case. And then you also have to come back and put your notes in, every day, or preferably after each client. But if that doesn't happen, like I would try to go see all the clients, and then towards the end of the day, I would go back and put in my paperwork. And then I remember towards the end of the week, I got a chance to do ER, which ER was a whole different ball game from just working with the regular patients. ER is very fast paced. So if that's something that you like to do, it's always good to try it out. And I had never done medical social work before. But we all know as social workers, we are able to do any and everything long as we know the rules or the system, the computer system. We're able to just jump right in. And so that's what we did. We jumped right in, and it was a great experience for something that I had never done before. And I'm like, this is something that I actually really am into. Okay. And so during this particular assignment, they would actually pay us in the evening time. Okay. So every day we got off of work, we lined up to get our sign off for our paycheck. We got our paycheck. We went back to our room. Okay. And so again, each assignment is different. Maybe they would wait to give you your money. Maybe it's a direct deposit. It just really depends. But we actually got physical checks at this particular time. And so the strike ended up lasting just a week. We worked for Monday through Friday, and then we were all able to go home. For me, I was able to go right home because I live in the city, but for others, they were flown back home to their destinations. Okay. And so that is an example of when the strike actually goes through. Okay. So now let's talk about when this strike does not happen. Okay. And actually, the strikes often not happen more than they do, which is crazy. Okay, so let me go into the times where they did not actually go through. So the great thing for me, because I live in California and the strikes were happening in Southern California, they would call us to the hotel. We would do all the paperwork, just how I described that whole scenario. And then the next day they would be like, oh my God, alert, alert, the strike is canceled. And so for me, I didn't really care. I just went back home. But it's a lot harder for somebody that's traveling from out of town. So it sucks to come way out of town and think that you're about to work and then you're not going to work and you go home like the next day, right? And so that happened, I kid you not, about 3 times in California. The first time I think they needed to reschedule because what happened is they can go back, so they can call a strike and then go back to the drawing board, which meaning they're postponing and they're trying to go into negotiations, right? I believe the second time it happened, I believe the CEO of Kaiser passed away. So of course, nobody wanted to go through a strike at the time of grieving. And then that third time is when the strike actually went through, okay? And so that's the week that I described to you, okay? So let's talk about if the strike gets canceled, what does that actually mean, okay? So as you're doing your paperwork and as you're getting onboarding, you're signing a contract, okay? And the contract does state that if your paperwork is all in, everything, and you are ready to go to work, then you will still receive some type of payment. The payment will depend on whatever that particular contract says, okay? So at least 2 of those times I did no work. I only did the onboarding process, but I still received a check in the mail or a check in my deposit. So for me, that is wonderful. I mean, where can you go where you don't work and they still actually send you money, okay? So that is the great thing about if the strikes were to cancel, just get that paperwork in and so you'll be good, okay? And so I'll tell you about a more recent experience where it got canceled. There was a strike in Oregon, okay? Flew down to Oregon, got into my hotel, did my onboarding process that particular night, or at least turn my paperwork in. The next morning, we got the alert that they are canceled, okay? And so we didn't really know what was going on. There was a lot of talks in the background, but they eventually sent us home the following day. But we still didn't know about pay or anything like that. But thank God they were able to pay us for 36 hours of pay. So I don't know about y'all, but I believe in God. And I just say thank God for the payment, the fact that we didn't have to work. Like, we're ready to work. We're ready to to do what we need to do, but when you don't have to do, you can still get paid. Like, I'm sorry, I'm crossing the picket line. Like, oh well. Like, it just is what it is, okay? I will say that let's talk about what is included in this whole plan or whatever. Let's talk about that really quickly. So what is included? So they are going to pay for your transportation from wherever you're flying from. So anywhere in the 50 states, they're going to pay for it, okay? So for example, they just sent us, they're like, hey, there's a different department that handles travel. We'll send you information. They really just kind of ask what airport you're closest to, and then they'll go ahead and get you whatever is available. So that's how I did. They got me my flight to Oregon. They do not pay. I think they pay for luggage on the back end. So you may have to upfront for luggage, but your airfare is paid for, okay? What also included is your housing. So they are going to put you up in a hotel for the week. And that's included. So you don't have, every time they will ask for a card. Well, this time they said that I want to put a card down or I didn't. So I think that's up to you if you want to put an extra card down, but know that your week is paid for. Okay. The other thing that you're getting is a per diem. Okay. So a per diem is basically, that is like for food, right? And so I think it depends on the city of how much you get. So it can be $50 a day, $60 a day. And honestly, when you think of it, like living inside of a hotel is expensive, and Uber Eats and all this kind of stuff, it gets expensive to order food. Like, it could be like a $15 fee, $20 fee on top, but you getting a $10 meal. So those per diem actually definitely comes in handy. Sometimes for breakfast, I've been on sites where they offer a little something, and sometimes breakfast is not included at all. So you do what you want with that per diem. That could be for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Usually when I'm traveling, I probably only try to eat twice a day. But when we were working at the hospital, there was a cafeteria, so we were able to go get food there. So per diem is up to you, and that's going to be a part of your check. It's not a separate check. And then also you're going to get paid what you're going to get paid hourly. And so I've been on several different assignments, and we've gotten paid, I think one time it was $85 an hour. And then the other time this last assignment was like $100 an hour. Okay. So I feel like that's the pay range. Obviously, if you're a licensed social worker, which I'm not sure if their pay is a little bit more. At my last assignment, I can't remember, it wasn't phlebotomist, but it was another type of role, and they were getting paid $125 an hour. And I'm pretty sure nurses got paid $150 an hour. Like, I don't really know, but your pay, they'll tell you what your pay is. Either way, your pay is going to be at least 3 times more than what you would be getting paid per hour as a regular social worker. We always talk about social workers don't get paid a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you're doing a strike, you are definitely getting paid way more than what you would in general. Okay, so those are the things that are included. Oh, and there also be transportation to and from your site. So there will be a bus every morning that's going to pick you up and take you to your location and bring you back to the hotel. So you don't have to worry about transportation unless you decide, hey, I'm not staying at the hotel because I live in the city and I'm going to transfer myself there. Even though I lived in a city in LA, I know myself. I know it's better for me to be at that hotel and get on that bus so I can be on time to work than trying to do it on my own. Okay. I will tell you that the strikes are so unpredictable, okay? I've seen people leave a full-time job just to come do a strike job. I would not recommend that. The only time I recommend that, unless you have time at your job and your job is willing to let you take off a week or something, then do that. Never leave anything permanent for a strike because they're just unpredictable. Yeah, the money is good, but if you already doing something, I wouldn't risk it. But like if you were not doing anything and all these times that these strikes came up, I was available, so it worked out in my favor, then definitely go ahead and do that, okay? And I'm trying to think, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, do you need a license to participate in a strike? It really depends on the state. So for California is different. They do not require a license. You can work with just your MSW. But when I did the Oregon strike, they wanted me to have a state license, and the program or the company you're applying for will assist you in that process. And so it should be an easy paperwork that you should be able to fill out to get a license if you are going to another state. So yes. that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in terms of the strike. And no, I will say that sometimes there is a little difficulty with getting your money. I know people that have issues, or it's taken a while to release their money or their checks or something like that. I have not particularly have had that problem, but I'm in Facebook groups where that is a problem. And so if that is a problem, you just need to continue talking to them, emailing them, calling them, and be like, hey, where's my money? Reach out to your recruiters or reach out to somebody from the top that you can talk with, just so that they can give you your money. I also will say another tip is to stay in contact with people that you meet on these strike assignments, because I still stay in contact with people that I met in California almost 2 years ago. Still stay in contact with other people that, I met in Oregon. And so when there are other opportunities that become available, they're gonna be like, hey, Tiffany girl, did you sign up for this strike? Did you sign up for that strike? So I definitely feel like it's good to stay in contact with people so that you will be aware of what's going on. And also, obviously, if you have your license, that is absolutely wonderful. I'm pretty sure you can get a higher assignment than what I normally do. Or there's another outside, like if you are also a social worker plus something else, like say, for example, I'm going a little bit off topic, but let's say like they're always hiring for CNAs for strike work. So let's say I don't have my license and they're not hiring people for license. If it's a medical type of job, they're going to hire a CNA. So quick tip or quick trick. I don't want to be a CNA, right? But there is a 4-week course that you can take for being a CNA. And that's it. Or it's 4 or 6 weeks. And then you're able to do these contract assignments, even if you're not signing up as a social worker for these roles, but you can still have your degree. Obviously, your degree's not going anywhere. So that's another trick to kind of get around some of these things if they're not hiring for somebody that's a licensed, or they need a licensed social worker. Okay. And so basically the reason why I wanted to do this video, because I feel like there's always like a lot of chatter about what strike social work is, what it isn't. And when I was looking on YouTube, all of the videos were about strike nursing. I'm like, hello, social workers are involved in strikes as well. And so I wanted to be the first one to be like, hey, this is my experience with striking. For social workers, it's something that I do. I cross the picket line. So if you are in my position, I wanted to make sure that there was a video available for you to actually kind of prepare yourself about what it is, how it works, what's going on. I will say a lot of times, don't be like alarmed or be afraid. I will say that there's a lot of miscommunication from the agency that you're working with. And I don't even know if it's their fault. I really think that there's so much talk at the top that nobody knows what's going on at the top in terms of like striking, because they could be still in negotiations. They could one minute say we're gonna strike, the next minute they could say they're not. And so I feel like obviously when stuff at the top is fuzzy, then that trickles down. So then for us as social workers, we're like annoyed or upset because we don't know what's going on. But we have to give a little grace, because I don't think they always know what's going on. So when they know what's going on, they'll make sure to let you know. I found some really great recruiters when doing traveling social work. Now, some so good and some not. But the times that I did the strike, the recruiters have been okay. We were able to call and text and make sure you get their number. Make sure you get, and they get, hey, anytime I need to call, can I text you anytime? Can I call you anytime? And so that way you can stay in the loop and ask them questions about different things. Sometimes they don't know stuff either, but again, if they know the answer, they will answer it for you. So again, I hope that this video was informative. If I missed anything, please make sure to make a comment below so I can answer your question, or if I need to do another video about this, please let me know. But again, I hope this was helpful for you to understand what strike social worker is, it's part of traveling social work again, so you may be in another state, so all goes together. But I wanted to be the first one to bring you this just so that your nerves can be calm. I noticed when I was on my last strike, it was some newbies or some new timers, and they were very frazzled because they didn't know what was going on. I'm like, y'all just chill. Like, so what happened was I said, well, just enjoy the city, because basically when we got there that Saturday, they ended up canceling the strike. So what do? When I'm in a new city, I want to go explore, okay? So what I did was I went and explored Oregon for the day. But the other people were like, they were always worried. I'm like, yo, just chill. And I feel like they're probably side-eyeing me like, don't tell me just to chill, or like, you know, this is a lot going on. I'm like, maybe because I've done it so many times, maybe I've been to where they cancel strikes, they sent us home, they've actually had a strike. So I feel like there's a bunch of different things that are going on to where I'm like, just chill, y'all. So you're gonna get your money long as you onboard it, enjoy the city, have a good time, and whatever decision you decide to do, it's okay. So if you decide not to cross the picket lines, that is absolutely okay. But I don't think you should shame people for it. I think we all have to make decision what's best for us and our family. So for me, crossing a picket line to work is the best for me and my family. So that's what I'm gonna do, right? Or if you're on the line of you're crossing it, like I feel like we should just all respect each other on what we decide to do. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it answered some questions. And yeah, whatever you decide to do, be happy with it and help another fellow social worker out in the process. Hey y'all, I am in Portland, Oregon, and this looks absolutely beautiful. Oh my God, I just want to play in the leaves right now. Oh.